For our next session in the changing marketing mix, we will have how Hatch Collective utilizes partnerships to create reliable revenue streams. So I'd like to bring out three people. Matt Curtis, the SVP of Digital at Hatch Collective, Nikki Millman, the VP of Community Events and Partnership at Hatch, and Maura Smith, the CMO of Partnerize. So please join me in welcoming them.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you.
Welcome to our session. This is titled How Hatch Collective Utilizes Partnerships to Create Reliable Revenue Streams. My name is Maura Smith, and I am the Chief Marketing Officer for Partnerize. If you're not familiar with Partnerize, we are the leader in partnership automation software and services, helping global brands realize profits from their partnerships. Today, I am joined by one of our esteemed clients, Hatch Collective, where we're going to be discussing how they have leveraged their partnerships and this channel to find, activate, and drive growth from their affiliates and partners. And so to that end, I would love to welcome to the stage Matt and Nikki. Why don't you guys take a moment to introduce yourselves to the audience and share a little bit about Hatch Collective?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Nikki. As Maura said, I am VP of Community at Hatch, which really oversees events and partnerships, which includes our ambassador program, which we will talk about today. And I'm really excited to be here. I'm also co-founder of an agency called At Large that focuses on marketing and creative. So yeah, give it over to Matt.
Hey everyone, Matt Curtis. I'm SVP of Digital at Hatch Collective. I oversee our digital business, which includes growth, retention, site experience, and analytics.
Awesome. Thank you guys for joining me on stage today. So I think, as you guys know, as we've talked about, one of the things that come to mind to brands and marketers when it comes to affiliate and partnership marketing is often the perception and challenge of driving scale across partnerships. And often this is because traditional partnerships or affiliate relationships that do offer the scalable reach that brands crave tend to be deal or discount driven and aren't necessarily specific or niche enough to the brand's products and services that they're selling. Also, when a brand or a marketer is contemplating the workflow or process to identify, recruit, and activate partnerships, it can be challenging to scale that process and involve manual resources at all stages. So to segue into our conversation, Hatch Collective has seemingly overcome some of those challenges and perceptions that others have faced when it comes to affiliate and partnerships. So I would love for Matt, if you wouldn't mind kicking us off, why don't you share with the audience a little bit about your affiliate program at Hatch, give us a quick overview of the types of partners that you're working with.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say the composition of our affiliate portfolio is pretty consistent, I think, with probably what everyone here is working with. So we have coupon publishers, which make up like a small percentage of the actual affiliates, but a large percentage of the revenue. And then we have more editorial publishers, which make up a large percentage of the quantity of publishers in the program, but a small percentage of the revenue. And I think, like everyone, we're always concerned about how do we reduce the amount of revenue that we have coming from our coupon publishers and increase the amount of revenue we have coming from our editorial partners. And I think, like Maura was saying, overall, there's just a lot of challenges in figuring out ways to scale that. And I think also we've seen a lot of challenges historically in the ways that you actually can sort of like go out and find these people. There's, depending on the niche that you're in, there's sort of like a limited number or a ceiling of the partners that are actually available to work with. And so to a large extent, that led us to thinking about like other sources of folks that we could find. And knowing that the relationship of those partners needs to be different from, say like what an influencer team would have. I think that's how we landed on this idea of like a brand ambassador program. Yeah.
So you mentioned the brand ambassador program. Can you tell the audience what elements have helped you scale your affiliate and ambassador efforts? Is there technology, tooling, resources, team members that have helped propel success for Hatch Collective in that regard?
I can take it. Yeah. Well, first of all, Partnerize has definitely been a helpful platform to have that kind of gives us infrastructure to scale a program like this. I think a really hard part of creating an ambassador program would be to figure out how to pay out commissions, manage all of our ambassadors, and really just have one home base to keep that all together. So Partnerize has been a great partner in that. And then I also think having, not to toot my own horn, but having my role here and where I'm creating relationships with ambassadors. So I really think it's all about the execution and relationship building of these ambassadors, and that somebody on the team is focused on that and concentrating on that, because that really allows us to scale and grow and have these relationships that will make for a fruitful program.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the brand ambassador program, but before we get into that, in our conversations leading up to today, one of the insights that Matt and Nikki that you shared that I thought was really interesting was you highlighted that the impetus for Hatch to explore a brand ambassador program was to replace lost affiliate revenue that your brand had experienced as a result of Google algorithm changes. So would you mind just shedding a little light on what happened there?
Yeah. And I think quickly, just a quick show of hands, how many people in the audience have had troubles with affiliate revenue this year, just in general?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe 50%. So we're a D2C brand. We've definitely had issues. So maybe a year and a half ago, Google made a major algorithm update that affected how they were looking at content related to PDPs, so like the product detail pages. And as a result of that update, we saw a pretty big hit to both organic traffic and performance, as well as our affiliate performance. And the partners that we saw have the biggest hit with this algo update were, in particular, the coupon sites. And so, as I mentioned before, because these represented such a lot, like the lion's share of revenue in the program, all of a sudden we were looking at 6-figure gaps year over year in program revenue that we had to quickly figure out how to make up for. And so I think overall what that taught us, one, was the importance of diversification, both of partner type, but also to not have more than 5-10% of revenue in any one publisher at a time. I think thankfully we've been able to claw back and surpass that gap within the past 8 months. But it definitely took us a couple months to one, figure out actually what happened, and then two, be able to backfill that missing revenue. And so I think one of the places that we arrived at was, and this is maybe more specific to Hatch itself, is we, because of our customer, right, who's a prenatal mom, it's really difficult for us to figure out how to turn our customers into our brand ambassadors, because she's a customer for 6-9 months and then is gone, and then she comes back in a year to 18 months. But I think she doesn't stay around to then become a loyal customer that drives referrals for us. And so figuring out how to build a business on the back of that customer type, I think, was something we recognize as a challenge that I think Nikki and her team were able to help overcome.
I think the struggle with coupon and deal-driven sites and affiliate is a very common theme that I'm sure many in the audience feel on the regular. So you've shared a little bit about a brand ambassador program, and you've recouped some of this revenue that was lost as a result of the Google algorithm updates. So Nikki, why don't you share a little bit about the brand ambassador program? Tell us what were the foundational elements necessary for you to start this program at Hatch.
Yeah, and I think Matt touched on it. I've been trying to kind of crack this nut for a pretty long time, a couple years, because when I think of brand ambassador programs, I think of customers. And I'm like, how are we going to do this if our customer comes in and out of our funnel quickly? Like Matt said, hopefully they come back a few times, so their LTV over a period of time is longer, but it's really hard to focus them as ambassadors when they're just not there consistently. And so simultaneously, a lot of work I do is on the expert front. So we work with a lot of experts in our space that provide information to our audience. So doulas, lactation experts, nutritionists that are really providing information and access to resources to our community as a retention play. And so kind of had this aha moment. These are the people that are constantly speaking to the customer we want to get in front of. So we're like, these should be our ambassadors. And it really formed into this symbiotic relationship where we were giving them a platform to speak to the community they wanted to get in front of and share additional resources that they had. And then we wanted a way to get to their customers as well as well as provide this information and support to our audience to really support them. So it really kind of created this ambassador program as our experts that are speaking to the audience we want to get in front of.
Really interesting. I've shared that insight with several companies that I've spoken with today who are interested in launching brand ambassador programs. So I thought that was really cool that, despite the life cycle challenge, that led you to an opportunity.
And it can change, right? Like we have stores as well. We have 2 stores in New York, 1 in LA. And one of our ambassadors, I always use her as an example, is this 20-something girl on the Upper East Side who speaks to moms about new restaurant openings or new store openings. And she's an ambassador that drives people to our New York store because she is speaking to the audience we want to get in front of. And then she does other deals and et cetera that wants to get in front of our customers. So it's kind of, it is predominantly these experts in this space, but it's also trying to get in front of these people that are speaking to the audience like her.
So I don't think that many realize they can leverage their affiliate or partnership program to actually power a brand ambassador program. So Nikki, why don't you share a little bit about the process for onboarding ambassadors and getting them acclimated and activated to the program?
Yeah, I think this is super important because, there are a lot of steps that go into, especially a lot of these experts don't know what Partnerize is or have never worked in the platform before because they aren't influencers and they've never been ambassadors before. So we really needed to work really closely with Partnerize to really understand what the process is to kind of become part of the affiliate platform and having really those tools that we could rinse and repeat and send to ambassadors to kind of get them onboarded and really instruct them on how to do that. I think took a little bit of time to really craft what that looked like. And then once we had that, it was really kind of like we would vet and myself or my team would personally meet with each of our ambassadors because I think it's super important that we, have that trust for our community. And then we would be able to use kind of that framework to just get people onboarded onto the platform. And again, I do think having a tool that has a back-end infrastructure to be able to kind of fuel this is super important because you have that support to kind of handle the back end because the relationship building is what's going to grow the program and make it successful.
Right, because otherwise the legal, financial process of paying and compensating influencers is all very
I know nothing
about
it.
If I could just add on to kind of what she's saying as well. I think from there we were then able to also automate a lot of the processes, like the handoffs between those like different checkpoints. So like, okay, once the ambassador, the account, like the profile is created in the platform, that's an entry that then gets updated in like this in-house system that we've built that then, sends a notification so that we know that they've been, added to the account. Then we have a checklist of everything that needs to get done. And so I think working with the Partnerize like account manager and team to make sure that those happen and all that, I think has made it to where we can really like close the time frame from when the person is like creating the account to when they're actually generating commission, down to as little as possible.
Totally.
Speaking of generating commission, just curious if you have any insights you can share about activating your brand ambassadors with the audience. Is there anything specific that you're utilizing to help, jumpstart their efforts and get them generating conversions, traffic, or the like?
Yeah, I mean, it's all been trial and error. I think with our product, you have to see it. So if you've never, a lot of our experts have been moms before, but if they haven't, and specifically a lactation expert, I want them to see our pumping bras, or I want them to see, it's called nipple and lip cream. Like I want them to see the products that will be relevant to their audience so they can speak to it in a factual way. And so we do kind of a welcome package specific to the ambassadors. So we definitely designate some gifting dollars there, as well as offer an incentive to offer to their community. So some sort of discount code that gets them as that first time purchase. And then as this program has evolved, we are in constant communication with these ambassadors. So in turn, in also giving them the code and the gifting, they are engaging with us for our free digital events and contributing to our content site, Babe. So there's a lot of other ways we're speaking to our ambassadors on a consistent basis. So we kind of can continue that relationship. So yeah.
Wonderful. One of the topics I think that is highly relevant at this point with brand ambassadors, influencers, is figuring out how to appropriately balance content creation with influencers, ambassadors to ensure that it's authentic to their voice and brand, but also ensure that whatever message they're pushing is relevant to Hatch and stays on brand for you. So just curious, are there any learnings that you could offer the audience in terms of ensuring you strike that right balance for yourself and the ambassador themselves?
Yeah, I mean, you know, as I think of our, you know, editorial calendar for our content site, we're creating that the content that we want to create, and then we are thinking, okay, what ambassadors would be great to contribute to this content? So there are a lot of times that we do go out to ambassadors and be like, if you want to share some story or educational piece, pitch us. Like, we're totally happy to give you a platform to do that, but we are really creating that from a brand, what's brand right, and then going out to our ambassadors to kind of get that like contribution. We also use them as experts in this space. So, you know, they are providing that insight and education that we don't have. And so like we know that we need to rely on our ambassadors to kind of do that, and then we give them that platform to be that trusted source to our audience. So it's very symbiotic, as I say. Yeah.
Makes sense. And the counter to this is, have there been any challenges with the brand ambassador program that you would like to shed light on and offer any learnings to the audience who might be exploring launching their own brand ambassador program?
It's time consuming. I mean, I don't know if it's a challenge. It's just manpower. I think it's just really dedicating the time and putting in the work, because I do think it's really about cultivating the relationships. Like, you can't just bring on some ambassadors and think they're just going to promote your product. Like, it's really about telling them what's important. You know, recently we do a monthly ambassador newsletter, so we're telling them what's happening, what's going on, what opportunities there are, where they can contribute for content, where they can host a live event, sales that are going on. Like, I just think there needs to be constant communication and constant nurturing of the relationship. So I wouldn't say it's a challenge just because we are spread pretty thin in terms of our team. But again, if you commit to it, I think you'll see the results.
So it's not set it and forget it.
Yeah, you cannot, I mean, no, definitely not.
Okay, I think final question, the audience is probably wondering, has the brand ambassador program that you've launched through your affiliate and partnership program been successful? So are there any insights or learnings that you can share? Did the program meet your expectations? Just give us some insight on performance there.
Yeah, I can give a little context here. So I think when we started, we didn't want to put too much of a restriction or numbers behind like what is success going to look like, because we hadn't done this before and didn't know what it was going to look like. And so we put together a fairly conservative forecast for the fall of last year, and I think Nikki and team just like totally blew it out of the water. Today we have more than 90 ambassadors that are fully active within the program. We hope by end of year we'll have more than 150. And the goal, as we've been looking at it, has been really like, how do we grow sort of partner, like revenue per partner, as well as overall program revenue. So it's like, as of now, they're in our, like the program as a whole are in our top 10 affiliates, which I think is pretty incredible, starting from 0 a year ago. So we're incredibly pleased and are continuing to invest in the program.
Yeah, and a lot of people I've spoken to about ambassador programs, it is the number of people in it, right? Like, that is going to make it more successful. So again, it's committing the time and getting, you know, our goal is 150, maybe we get to 200 by the end of the year, because I do think it is the numbers in which that we have in the program that make it the most successful.
It's all about activating as many of those partnerships, brand ambassadors, affiliates that you can to drive success and scale, right?
And they love it. Like it's like a new revenue stream for a lot of them, and it's a new way for them to speak about brands. They were all speaking about Hatch all the time. So now they're able to be incentivized to do it, and they're given a little bit of guidance on how to do it the best way. So.
Yeah, so if you're thinking about doing this, I think the advice that I would leave everyone with would be, one, like be out of the box in the way that you're thinking about it. So for us, the big unlock was not needing our customers to be our ambassadors. I think two, rely on your like agency teams, or in this case it was Partnerize for us. And then I think three, I think pairing Nikki and I together, me sort of on the more business and analytical side, and then her on the analytical and like community engagement side was where that magic happened. So.
Well, thank you so much for sharing these insights with me and the audience today. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you so much to the CommerceNext organizers and everyone who attended our session. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.